Hello, Joyful Geniuses. Andrew Horder here, founder of Joyful Genius Coaching. For the last decade or so, I've been helping solo practitioners like you to love what you do for a living and make a great living doing what you love. Basically, find out what your joyful genius is and then figure out how to turn that into a business that's going to support you. Now, last week, I was talking about the importance of the joy in your joyful genius, actually doing something that you love to do for a living. This week, I want to turn that on its head. I want to talk about actually running your joyful genius business in a business-like fashion. You see, a lot of people will say to me after what I was saying last week about how important it is that you actually enjoy what you're doing and all that, or isn't that just do what you please? And the answer to that is no, it's not. Yes, it is do what pleases you. Yes, it is do what is fun, joyful, allows you to bring you as that being of light and joy, that infinite being of light and joy to your work without having to dumb it down or twist it and distort it and all of that. And one of the things that I talk about is the importance of the balance, having that balance between passion and pragmatism. So that's the passion side of it, isn't it? That infinite being of light and joy. The pragmatism side of it is, let's get business-like about this. Let's figure out how we're actually going to make this a business, not just something that you're dibbling about with and playing with, frankly. One of the people who I've studied with and been supported by on my journey is a guy called Nick James, and his business is called Seriously Fun Business, and I think that really sums up my attitude to this. Yes, your business needs to be fun, but you also need to be serious about it. There's no point being just fun if it's not a business. We often talk about wanting to be our own boss, don't we? Quite a lot of the people that I work with, they've done the corporate thing, they've spent that time with that dodgy boss that just wasn't a good boss, so they decided it's time, so you say to yourself, this is it, not doing that anymore, I'm going to be my own boss. Now, be your own boss doesn't mean I'm going to do as I please. That's an important thing. Think about that old boss of yours. What was it about that old boss that you really didn't like? Chances are, if you're anything like me, there will be things like irrational behaviour, up 1 minute, down the next, overly demanding, really expecting way more of you than is reasonable to expect. Inconsistent. 1 minute you're doing your very best in this and it's still not good enough, and the next it's, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, that doesn't really matter. And you don't know whether you're coming or going. You're not getting the training you need, you're not getting the direction that you need. You've really got no idea what's going on. And it almost feels like it's deliberate. It almost feels like they're deliberately trying to keep you off balance so that they can control you. So now fast forward to today. You're your own boss. So let's think about this. Are you being completely rational in your expectations of yourself? Or indeed your expectations of the world? Are you being too hard on yourself a lot of the time? And a lot of the time you're being too easy on yourself. You're letting yourself get away with skiving something alarming. And other times, something hasn't quite gone right through no fault of your own, but you're beating yourself up about it. That inconsistency piece. If you want to be your own boss, you have actually got to be your own boss. And you've got to think of yourself both as the boss of you and as the worker of you. And play those two roles and think about how the boss of you is treating the worker version of you. Because if you're going to bring your genius to the world, you need to be able to do that in a way that feels safe and comfortable for you and natural for you. And that won't happen if you're beating yourself up, if you're not giving yourself the right levels of support. So here's I think, probably the 4 things that a good boss will do for you. And you need to be doing for you in your role as your own boss. So the first is realistic expectations and well communicated expectations. Figure out what it is you actually expect you to be able to achieve. Don't worry too much at the moment about how and particularly about whether or not you have the skills, because we'll come to that in a minute. So figure out what it is you expect of yourself. What are your standards of behaviour, standards of performance for you in your genius business? The next one, KPIs, key performance indicators. What results are you looking to achieve? And it doesn't have to only be, I'm going to achieve X number of new clients or whatever. Your KPIs can also be around activity that you know, if you do it consistently and congruently, will lead to the customers, the income, the impact that you want to get out there. My own coach spends quite a lot of time talking about what are the measures. What are the things that if you do consistently will create those results? And are you doing them? So actually measure yourself. Set yourself some targets, set yourself some key performance indicators, and make sure that you're doing them. If you had a member of staff whose job it was to achieve what you want, what you are intending to achieve for yourself, what are the things that you would be expecting them to have done each day, each week, each month that would lead to the result that you're all looking for? Okay, so key performance indicators. Now, then the next one, training. Do you have the knowledge, the experience, the information that you need, the skills to actually create the results that you're demanding of yourself? If you don't, work out where you're going to go and learn those things from. Or decide who you're going to bring in on an outsourced basis to do it for you. Because there are some things that you're just not the right person to do. Marketing, not my thing. I've tried to do it, ain't that great at it. So for me, I get other people to help me with that marketing. Sometimes it's telling me what to do, and other times it's actually doing it for me. So set yourself realistic expectations, measure it, set yourself key performance indicators, make sure you have the training, or if you don't have the training, that you either go out and get it or you outsource it to somebody who does have that training. And then the final one, and this one is absolutely essential, is truly understand who it is you want to show up as and give yourself the time to be there. In other words, what you would expect from a boss is the support. Yeah, the appreciation of you at your very best, the support to be you at your very best. And another, that's another area where perhaps you might bring in somebody else to do some of the stuff that you don't enjoy doing, that will facilitate you being you at your brilliant best. Yeah? So, realistic expectations, proper measurement of your activities and results, make sure you've got the training necessary, and make sure you've got the necessary support. And in the context of you, that means cut yourself some slack, give yourself time to take some time off, don't work all the hours God sends, go for a walk at lunchtime. I go for a walk most lunchtimes these days, just to get out into the fresh air, get away from my desk, give myself some self-care. And that's how you get to live your genius in a business-like fashion. Because in the end, you have to know who you are. You have to know who you want to show up as in the world, and you have to know your limitations so that you can make sure that you've got the appropriate support for you to be able to grow into the true genius that you really be and take that out into the world in a way that your clients will absolutely adore and isn't going to put you under a lot of stress. So don't be too easy on yourself, don't be too hard on yourself. Have the expectation that you're going to be successful and that you're going to be able to share your genius in a profitable fashion, and make sure that you're doing this in a business-like fashion. Blend the passion of that being of, that infinite being of light and joy with the pragmatism of a person who is running a business and intending to be paid and supported for doing just that. Now, if you'd like some help with that, I've got this video I did. You may have heard me talk about it. Called my Mojo video. It's basically for coaches, consultants, solo practitioners who they know there's something special that you're here on the planet to do, and somehow you seem to have lost your way. You've lost your mojo, which is why I call it the Mojo video. Yeah, it's at www.joyful-genius.com/mojo. Have a watch of that video. It will tell you how I help people to find their mojo and to get out there and love what you do for a living, make a great living doing what you love. And at the end of it, there's an invitation to jump on a call with me to talk about how you get from where you are right now to having found your mojo to living a joyful genius life in a business-like fashion. I think that's me for this week. So until next week, keep up the great work.